Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Winning Women Talk Show. I'm Regina Shearer, your host, and I'm so glad that you are able to be with us this evening. I hope that wherever you are, the weather is good, and we're having quite a warm summer already here in New England. But I hope wherever you are, you're enjoying the summer. And I want to thank you for taking time out of your day to spend with us here on the Winning Women Talk Show. If you're a regular viewer or listener, as you know, each and every week, we present a different woman who tells us about the journey that she took in order to fulfill her passions, accomplish her dreams or career goals. And we call them winning women because the things that they do in their lives and the journeys that they took, the challenges they faced, the obstacles they overcame in order to do that special something that they're passionate about, that those things weren't about money. They were about fulfillment and they were about someone else being able to benefit from the work that they do. And so I hope that you've enjoyed what you've been hearing and viewing. And as well, I hope that something has inspired you, especially if you're thinking yourself, what is it that I can do that would fulfill my passions? What is it that I've always dreamt of doing, but still haven't yet found a way to do it? I hope something you hear encourages you, inspires you, and most of all, motivates you so that you can say to yourself, you know what? If she can do it, so can I. And so that's not just all of it. We would love for you to participate in this show. And there are several ways to do that. One, you can call us with any comments or questions you may have for our guest. And that call in number is 781 384 5587. I'll say that again, 781 384 5587. And if you're a little phone shy, as always, I invite you to email me, Regina, at rgbinternetradio.com. And I hope we will hear from you. So I'm excited tonight to introduce our guest for the evening. And I have to tell you that this is one of my favorite guests. She has been on the show before, but she's one of my favorites because she's my granddaughter, and I'm so proud of her. And so today we're going to be discussing the world of beauty and beauty salons. And our guest is Alicia Luciano, now Dowdy, because she was just married last October. And she is the owner and operator of The Way Hair Salon in New York City. She is not a hairstylist, or I'll say a hairdresser, as many people refer to the people that care for their hair. But Alicia regards herself as a hair artist instead of a hairstylist or hairdresser. And she's had extensive experience in creating amazing hair designs for models, music industry artists, and of course, the everyday woman who just wants to look and feel beautiful. Her hair artistry has been featured in magazines, videos, music videos, major fashion and art journals such as the Gray Book, when she designed the hair for the model Renata Guerra. And she also was chosen as the number one hair colorist in New York City, and has appeared on shows such as Tamron Hall. There's so much more to Alicia, but I'm going to let her tell us about all of those things herself. So I want to say hello, Alicia, and welcome to the Winning Women Talk Show.
It's my favorite talk show.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you to get a little closer to your microphone because we're having a little problem hearing you. There you go.
Sure.
Okay, that's better. So how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, and yeah, you don't have to hold it. That's coming across much better.
Okay.
So I know you're at your salon now.
Yes, we are finishing up a very busy day that we had today. So we're just finishing up. One of my amazing stylists is finishing up her client so she can be ready for some fun in the sun because summer has officially arrived in New York City. So everyone is trying to get outside.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you if before when you pull that down a little more again so that we can hear you a little better.
Sure, that
Uh,
should help.
there you go. That helped a whole lot.
Sorry.
So, Alicia, some people who are now viewers um, have not heard of you or know you. And so I'd love for you to just share with us once again a little bit about you and the journey that it took for you to become the owner of The Way.
Sure.
And I want to also say, which I didn't earlier, is that Alicia has one of the top hair salons in New York City. So this is not just a place that you go and get your hair done, but this is a make me look good, feel good, and that those photos that are going to be taken, those magazine covers that I'm going to be on, or whatever it may be, that's all part of what happens at The Way. So share a little bit about you and your journey.
Sure. I'm originally from Boston, Massachusetts, and there I grew up just having a very strong artistic background. Whether it was painting, sculpting, you name it, my family really made sure that I was well versed in the arts, performing arts as well, which who knew that that would really make a difference as a hairdresser and being behind the chair. To be a little bit theatrical and not take yourself so seriously has very much served me well. And so from there, I decided to venture into the hair world, attending hair school in Boston, and then getting an apprenticeship at Mizu Boston, which at the time was the top salon in Boston. And by being there, I was just exposed to a plethora of talent. There were 14 different stylists, things like that. And from there, I was instructed by a professor from Berkeley, actually, Berkeley College of Music, that, babes, I think you could aim a little higher than this. I think you should keep going, and recommended I come to New York City or LA. And New York felt like a great fit. And so from there, I started to research some stylists that I thought maybe would be a good match for me to apprentice with. And I was fortunate enough to come across a woman named Moy Pitters, who I showed up on her doorstep and convinced her that she needed to hire me. And I got the job pretty much on the spot and moved to New York 3 days later. So it was a real whirlwind. But I was, I think, 21, 20. So I think it was right on par for the types of decisions you make when you're 20 or
So
21.
let me stop you for a minute. One, for people who are not from New England or New York, even, um, you mentioned Mizu. You said one of the top salons in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
But you graduated from hair school just like everyone else. Why did you get the opportunity to apprentice there?
Well, I think the common thread that has definitely shown up for me through life is being bold. And I'm okay if my idea isn't digestible to everybody else. It might not always feel easy and it might make things a bit harder at times, but I have to trust my gut and I have to trust my instincts. And when I decided to go into hair, I was a freshman at Mass College of Art. And so I was a great painter, I was a great artist. So I thought, I'm going to be an artist. I didn't really enjoy it that much. I enjoyed it as a hobby, but I think when financial stability was attached to it, it took the fun out of it for me. And so I really had to dig deep and ask myself, what do I enjoy doing that can have, financial means attached to it? And I had always done a little bit of hair for friends or before dance class. And I loved, before dance class, I would do the hair and then we would be in class and I would watch the hairstyle work the room. And I was like, ooh, I love this feeling. This is great. And so I was able to dig deep in myself and really get honest and say, all right, well, if I'm going to do this, I need to take it the same seriousness I would if I was going to law school. I need to take the same seriousness I was going to go to medical school, because I knew at the beginning that a lot of respect wasn't given to hairdressers in the way that it deserved to be given. You know, hairdressers are profound people. We are working with all walks of life. We are adapting constantly. So many times we are not necessarily prepared for the request, but we have to get prepared on the spot. And so when I made that decision, I knew that it was important to me to take it really seriously. And I had a classmate actually who was like, I saw a salon the other day and you need to go apply there. And I was like, all right. And it was state of the art. We had won all of the architectural awards, and I took a chance. What's the worst they were going to say? We're not hiring. But I think timing and luck really and boldness were the perfect equation at that time, because I walked in, I asked if they were hiring. They sprouted up and was like, actually, we are. Fill out an application. And I filled it out and I had a job secured before I even graduated from hair school. And when you're in hair school, it's made very clear that it is quite challenging to secure a job right out of
Right.
school. Just like any other, graduating student, the job market is very shaky um, upon graduation. When you're signing up, they're like, you're going to get a job. When you're finishing, they're like, maybe. So I was very fortunate that they gave me a chance. But I think them giving me a chance was sparked by betting on myself. And I'm a firm believer of always betting on yourself, always pushing it a little bit further. But just being serious, about those bold decisions, I think is so essential in any industry and really in any part of life. So it's definitely a common thread.
So then you wanted to start out in New York. You came to New York because there was a salon that was run by Moy Pitters that you decided you were going to work at.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the thing is in Boston, the the ceiling that I hit so early, I was only like a year and a half out of hair school and I was hitting a ceiling. I didn't know that was possible, to be completely honest. I thought I probably would have been in Boston for a very long time. But in Boston, the thing that would happen is maybe the most glamorous thing you could do would be like the wife of an athlete, or a very high tier business associate. But it's going to be pretty standard, very classic, very traditional. There's not going to be a lot of pushing the needle there, or access to maybe fashion shows and photo shoots. It's going to stay at a very certain point. And I, again, had that artistic background where I'm like, there's got to be more. I need a little bit more pizzazz and some spark. And from there, that's where getting that recommendation to like push yourself a little further and then starting to research. When I found Amoy, was doing the most glamorous elite models and actresses. And when I started with her, the first day of work with her, I was doing Chanel Iman. Within the first month, I was doing Naomi Campbell. And I'm 21, and I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? Give me a pep talk. I don't want them to like not like me. And from there, that choice really let me know, oh, it was worth it. You bet on yourself. You wanted to be at a higher caliber. And so I got to the higher caliber. At the same time, I had to rise to the occasion. I didn't necessarily have training to rise to the occasion, but again, you go into yourself, you get reflective, and you go, when you were a child, you were taught to behave this way. You were taught to do this, and you have to pull that in because that's what the doctor would do. That's what the lawyer would do. And so you just have to remind yourself you're rising to the occasion, because there's going to be the next challenge that shows up sooner than you know it.
Right. So how long were you with the Moy Pitters, and what happened after that?
So I believe I was with her for maybe a year. And it was great while I was with her. I ended up getting to a space where she got to see how gifted my hair color abilities were. She really wasn't offering a lot of hair color like that, or at least like a variety of it. And for whatever reason, something happened where she was able to see what I was capable of. And from there, I'm doing coloring pretty much extensions because she was an extension specialist.
Hmm.
I'm coloring the hair extensions for Naomi Campbell, Joan Smalls, all of these major, major women. And in addition to that, all the very elite socialites, specifically women of color in New York City. And I was a baby stylist. And so towards the tail end of that, I was starting to kind of get on the floor there and start to take my own clients. And that became a bit challenging. I think there were certain things I was able to provide for her when I was her assistant. And then when I became a stylist, I wasn't really able to do both. And so from there, I decided to part ways. And it was a very bold decision again because I was now living in New York City and I was walking away from my only means of income. And so it was a moment where you have to really get gritty and you got to get your hands dirty. And, I remember taking just a retail job on the weekends because I was like, I don't have any clients. I don't have any requests. So from there, I was willing to take a step back and navigate whatever was ahead because I genuinely didn't know what was to come. I just knew that I wanted to take a chance and I wanted to get into more of the editorial space and fashion week sort of thing. And that means I'm learning how much do they pay? Can you pay your rent? How do you get clients? And it was the first time I was really on my own. And it was proving to be very challenging. So now when I have, I like to call them baby stylists or assistants, I have a very specific timeline that I like to put them through so that I can make sure that they can always support themselves because it can be very challenging. And it definitely affects your quality of work when you're very unsure of where your income is going to come from.
Hmm. So you leave Amoy Pitters
Yes.
and you step back
Yes.
and then you stepped up. So how did all that?
It panned out quite well. There was a pretty popular internet site called Tumblr, and that was proving to be very helpful for me because it's kind of like a blog, pre Pinterest, so not so many, a lot of photos, but a lot of text and dialogue as well. And there, I just was kind of just having some self expression and sharing my thoughts about what I thought about hair and what I thought was missing in the industry. And from there, I started to have people reach out and, oh, can I book an appointment with you? Oh, can I book an appointment with you? And I think I was probably stunned because I was like, with me? Oh my gosh, weird. Do they like my work? And so I found a small mom and pop shop in Brooklyn. And again, another wonderful woman that I was just kind of like, hey, do you think I could like work here a day or two a week? And she was like, sure, Senorita, you come in, you do whatever you want. And she was really fun. She was quite a character, but she made me a bit tougher, if I'm being honest. And in the hair industry, we have this thing that is called emotional discounts. And sometimes you're just so grateful that someone's willing to sit in your chair that when it comes time to check them out, you have a really hard time charging them. Because there's this weird attachment of just being so grateful that someone trusts you, but also blurring that line where you're like, this was a transaction and you provided them with a service. And so she really helped me build the confidence to charge for the things that I was doing and the services I was providing. And when I look back, man, I'm so grateful to her. And so, along the way, you're learning these small things from these mentors or these other salon owners, and some good things, some bad things. But I always feel fortunate, and I always definitely reference those times because maybe I'm giving, another stylist advice or even myself, and I have to go, oh, that's what they meant. Like kind of a eureka moment.
Right. So the way, when did the
Yes.
way come into being and how?
So the way it came into play after I was with that woman, I had reached out to some friends who were also artists, and I was like, man, I'm really like I would like my own space, and I was connected to a friend of mine named Joji, and he had this incredible art gallery on Canal Street. And he's like, I'm going to Japan. You can take over my place for the month. He was a barber, but he also was a gallerist. And so I was like, what? I can take over your space? And his space was so wonderful because he had a barbering chair in the middle of the gallery. So every month the artwork would change, and sometimes it would be very big name artists, but they would have like an alias, and they wouldn't be able to, do the alias work in the museum, so they would do it in his gallery. And so I got a month to try it there, and I absolutely loved it. And so from there, I built a small studio in the back room. And I was there for about 2.5 years, I think. And that really allowed me to build my courage and build my confidence and build my skill and technique. And then I was like, I think I want to push this more. Because remember, I came from Mizu, which was the state of the art and beautiful space. And now I'm in the back room of an art gallery trying to make it work. And so I wanted my clients that were trusting me to understand where my roots were and the quality that I was looking to provide. And so I then shifted to a salon on Fifth Avenue, and that was wonderful. It was like very high end, very beautiful. And then it started to pose some challenges because my clientele were predominantly women of color. And we were in a space that really didn't provide services to anyone else of color. And so sometimes that can be conflicting or challenging and things like that. And in order to protect my clients and make sure that they always felt comfortable, I decided to leave. And from there, they have this new concept over the last like 5 years, which were called like salon suites. And I rented one of those, and I think it was like one of the first places in New York to offer it. And I did that for about 6 months, and I outgrew it very quickly because it had a limited number of days. And I started to look for a space, and I found a space, and it was a small basement, brick and mortar, about 200 to 300 square feet, and I saved up all my money, and I found that location, and I went and I checked it out, and I signed a lease, and I opened for about a year, and then COVID happened, and then we were closed for about 4 months, and that was really heart wrenching, and it was really scary because it was my 1 year anniversary of being a business owner, and we closed for the 4 months, and we just hoped for the best, and oddly enough, within all of that, during that time, I was able to really push content on social media, and I was able to just try to keep things, lively. And I guess while everyone was home, they were saying, "When I get out of here, I'm going to the lake." And so, once everything opened back up in New York City, the business grew times 3 to times 5. Like it kind of blew up in an amazing way. And because the space was so small and COVID had just happened, I really wasn't able to grow a team or anything of the sort in that space. And so I had to get out there and find a new space. And we went from the Lower East Side to Soho. And so we are now still in Soho. We are the only Black-owned salon in Soho, New York. There is no other one. It's just us, and we have a beautiful loft, and we overlook a beautiful park, and it's very calm, cool, and collective. But it has been an absolute wonderful. It's just been a blessing, really, to just be able to carve out this space in downtown New York, where a lot of times, women of color and men of color are employed in this space, but it's very unlikely that they're able to get self-care here. And
Right.
so to be that cornerstone within this neighborhood, it's been great. It's been challenging at times, of course, it's a business, but
Right.
to see the joy that we're able to provide people with or build the confidence in the individuals, it feels wonderful.
For those of you who have just joined us, I know you're mesmerized, but we would love to hear from you. And you have been listening to Alicia Luciano Doty, and she has been sharing the journey that has led her to be the owner and operator of The Way, which is one of the top salons in New York City. And she is one of the top hair colorists in New York City. And she has some clientele that she's been very modest to avoid telling us about. But they are names that you would know. And we're going to ask two things. One is that you take down this number, and that number is 781-384-5787. 5587, or the email address, which is Regina at rgbinternetradio.com, and call us, share what your thoughts are, your questions for Alicia, and or email, and I'll be sure that she gets your message. But we'd love to hear from you. Now, we have to take a quick break for one of our sponsors, and we don't want you to go too far away. But we will be right back in about 30 seconds. So join us. Don't go away.
At Portal to Hope, we're here to help victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, and stalking crimes. We provide support, resources, and hope to those who need it most. We believe that everyone deserves to live a life free from violence. If you or someone you know is in danger, please reach out for help. Call us at 781-338-7678. We offer a variety of services including counseling, legal aid, job assistance, and housing support. We also work to raise awareness about these issues and to advocate for change. Together, we can create a world where everyone is safe and free from violence. Portal to Hope is here for you.
Life can be unpredictable, and when those moments occur, you want the assurance that your family and property are protected. Sabatino Mastrocola Insurance Agency provides insurance coverage and security for every situation: home, life, flood, car, personal, or property. We're here to help you protect what matters most: your future. We are a full-service insurance agency providing experienced experts who speak Spanish, Portuguese, and English to assist you in acquiring the type of insurance coverage you need. That's the Sabatino Mastrocola promise. Contact us at 617-387-7466 or on our website, www.sabatino-ins.com. Get peace of mind today for uncertain tomorrows.
And we're back with Alicia. So, Alicia, as I stated before we took our commercial break, there are some amazing things that have happened with you. And prior to becoming a television celebrity, you were already engaged in doing some things that ended up with your name on front covers of magazines. We're identifying you as the hair artist for models, for singers,
Yes.
actors,
Bef-
dancers,
Before
different things.
I
Tell us about that.
So before I had opened the way, remember, also, if you're just listening, I had ventured on all these sorts of salons and decided to do some editorial work and things like that. And when you start to enter that space, you kind of become an open book in the sense of like, I'm so excited for anyone that would like to book me. And also networking really plays a huge factor into that, especially in New York City. So being, out and about and being a friendly face is great. And so by doing that, I was able to be connected with performers and singers and musical talent in that sense. And also meet some really phenomenal hairdressers that had been in the industry as veterans and be able to join their teams and be backstage for Fashion Week and New York City Fashion Week. And sometimes that includes some travel. And so I was very fortunate to do some like Paris Fashion Week, where that means that someone is bringing you to Paris to make sure their hair looks beautiful for all the events and parties they have to go to. And then I've also gone on tour with a few artists as well, or doing press kits for like when they're doing movies and things like that. So that means you're doing all the red carpets for them. And so before I had the responsibility of the salon, I was doing an array of that sort of thing because why not? I'm very grateful that I did say yes to a lot of those jobs, and I'm very grateful that people did see my talent, and it's great to have those experiences under my belt.
You were on the Tamron Hall show
Yeah.
because you were hair colorist,
Yes.
right? Chosen that year. And I'm just curious, how is that uncovered? how does somebody know that about you? How does somebody make that decision about you? And how did they even find out about it?
So I this is what I believe to be true, is that one of their producers was following me and then brought them in. And so basically, the producer was following me. They reached out, and they also had the Tamron team reach out as well. And then from there, they just kind of like, would you be comfortable with this? And we're doing an episode on color. And that's when, they had a person that came in and did those color swatches to see which season and tones are good for you. And so they kind of popped me right in there. And I think we did a ginger or redhead kind of concept. And it was lots of fun. I mean, I'd love to do it again. I'd love anything like that is quite exciting for like a nostalgic 90s 80s kid. I watched plenty of Ricky Lake and Sally Jesse Raphael in my day, so I kind of just went into it with that concept of like, wow, this is my chance to have that kind of experience. But I genuinely I'm grateful for social media in that sense, because sometimes you just don't know who's watching, and if you're a good fit for what they're looking for and you're available, it works out quite well.
So I'm curious, are there people that are just looking for looking at websites or blogs or whatever, and identifying based on photos that you post of
Mm-hmm.
customers here, and say, oh, that's a pretty color, that's a beautiful shine, and
Mm-hmm.
they're the ones who suddenly make a decision that your hair color
Mm-hmm.
abilities are top notch and you're nominated and then voted for? Is that how it works?
Um, in terms of being on the show,
No, in terms of being
in the
voted
being
the
called
number one hair colorist. Yeah.
um, well, so the New Yorker does a thing every year, and there's like a part of their segment called the strategist. And so, from what I've gathered, is they kind of go throughout the city and they're asking the who's, kind of like, oh, like what dentist do you go to, And if they get enough of those in common, they're like, well, this dentist is the top 10 dentist in New York. And
Okay.
so that is what I think has taken place for me. Is I think they had kind of touched base with whoever they get their information from, and maybe they double check it online and then look at social media as well. And from there, I was put amongst just the top 10. But for me, it was incredible, because there are women like Mariah Carey's hairdresser has been doing her hair for 30 years, and it's like, my name is next to her.
Right.
It's those moments where I'm like, I didn't know I wanted or needed this, but I'm so happy it's happening. And I think it's always such a compliment, of course, but I also think that there's also a gentle level of politics in it as well, where it's like, I am putting out images and videos of the work that I am making. I am being intentional about that. I do want people to see it. I do want people to know that I have a wonderful salon. I do want people to know that I have a phenomenal team that are all so talented in their own ways. And so I think if I'm not showing that and putting it out there, it is going to be much more challenging for anyone to ever find out about us.
I
And
agree with you. Absolutely. I've been scrolling through the emails trying to find one I want to give you. It says, hi, Alicia. Your story is very impressive. When you're good at what you do, it's probably easy to do. New York is such a big place. Is your clientele usually always varied, or do you have a steady client base?
I've had a steady client base for probably the last 10 years, maybe more, a ton of clients that we've been together over a decade. But for me, I love a new client. I love a new face. I love a new adventure, right? Because that's what we're going to go on, is an adventure together. I'm going to learn the things that have not, shown that it works for them. I'm going to probably learn about some hair trauma or some great experiences. And I've got to do a little bit of work to change their mindset. I've got to get them to see all of the great things that I see. And sometimes that works out and we stay together for a very long time. And other times it's for a season, and that's completely okay. But I love it. I've got little kids. I've got 20 somethings. I've got 30 somethings. I got 40 somethings. I got 50 somethings. I got 60 somethings. And they bring so many sparks and good times to my life, and I'm very grateful for that.
So you have a variety in your clientele, which is a steady client base.
Mm-hmm.
What, though, over your years now
Mm-hmm.
of doing this, what are some of the challenges that really have put you to the test to persevere and persist and stay resilient in the work that you do?
Well, I think one of the biggest challenges is there's no roadmap. There's no plan, and there's a plan, of course. I want to grow. I want to have this wonderful team. I want to provide great services, but no one's written the how-to on that. You can have the how-to of, well, I have my master's, I'd like to get this and I'd like to achieve that, and or I want to climb the ladder. And the corporate isn't necessarily a thing in the hair space. So a lot of it is making sure that I am always coachable and learning. And I think that's the fun part of having that long-term client, is I can't give something I gave them 6 years ago. I have to move the needle. The techniques have changed, the trends have changed, the styles have changed. All of it has
Yeah.
changed. And I always am trying to either create that change on my own or seek the information, adapt it to what I like and my tastes, and to them. So I think that always poses a challenge, as things are always changing. But I think it's more of just always staying innovative and continuing to grow.
Okay. We have Alicia, a caller, on the line, and so I want
Hi.
to welcome to the Winning Women Talk Show. You're on the air with Alicia.
Hi. Good evening, Dr. Regina. Good evening, Alicia. I actually, because I'm listening to you now, I'm thinking to myself, I've never tied down, I'm living in the Boston area, and I've never tied down an actual stylist, right? There's someone I go to occasionally, you go between, and I'm an African-American woman, so you go between getting your hair braided, getting it styled and trimmed, doing different things. I have natural hair, so just doing different things. But because I haven't tied down a stylist for everything that I want to do, and I kind of go randomly to different people, I actually am open to traveling to New York.
We'd
New
love
York
to see
salon.
you. We would
I'm
love to
going to
see you.
go and I would get like color, right? Because
Yeah, sure.
you're so good at color, and I'm a little bit afraid of color. Now I'm thinking, why not?
We
If
have
I'm
a
going to
lot
do
of
something that's really different for me, why not travel a while?
yeah.
And
We
go,
have a
you
we have a
know,
lot of
go
clients that do
solo
travel.
and
Yeah,
make it a day trip,
yeah,
you
it's
know?
a little
So
adventure.
I just wanted you to know you inspired me to do that.
Oh, I
And you
love
may
it.
see me there
We
in the
would be
next
happy
couple
to
of months.
have you for sure, and we have plenty of clients that are either traveling to us because they've relocated, and maybe finding a new stylist just hasn't panned out the way they had hoped. And sometimes people are just like in Philadelphia, or they're in Boston, or just neighboring cities, and we see them whenever they feel feasible, or we create a game plan. And I think based off what you kind of mentioned is you've kind of, you're like, oh, I'll see this person for this, or I'll see this person for that. And I think if I can leave you with anything, it would be, when you're looking for these stylists, think about them as your teammate. You want a teammate, they may not be able to do all the services you're looking for, but you can have more than one teammate. You can have 2 or 3 stylists where you're like, this is my person for this is my person for that. But collectively, they all have to function with you as a team. Because if I'm doing something to help you, and then the girl that's braiding your hair is doing something that's counterintuitive, it's going to set us back. So because you're the constant amongst those stylists, we have to make sure that you're advocating for yourself properly. And also you're filling everybody in, right? Well, I was with this one and this is the plan. And you've got to be the person that kind of keeps everybody connected, because you're the connector at that point. So I would definitely try to get them, you be the coach when needed be, but ultimately you are a team, and that will definitely set you up for success.
Wow. You said some things that I've never given any thought to. Um, and I think our caller has hung up because when you're watching this live, it's not in sync with your
Ah,
time. So she asked you the question. She's probably just now getting to
hearing.
hear your response. But I want to thank you, caller, for calling in. And I hope that as you're listening to the response, that it is very helpful to you. You used a phrase, and one of the um, people that is watching the show said, I live in Europe. What is hair trauma?
Okay. So hair trauma is more of a term that has kind of gained some traction, I would say, maybe in the last year or two. And so we usually think of it as not so great or negative experiences that have taken place either at home or in a salon environment for a person. A lot of times, those set very significant memories and tones for how the person decides to interact, or it might just cause a delay, right? So if someone comes into me and first time I'm meeting them, hi, great, how are you? What are we going to do today? And they go, well, I think I need a trim, and I don't really want to cut that much, and I don't know, I haven't had that many good hair experiences. To
Mhm.
me, that is giving nervous, a bit fearful, a bit kind of, bundled up and tight. And I can identify that I need to make sure that I'm providing this person with new dialogue. So some new words that can build some confidence. I need to build some trust, because I need them to be like, do whatever you need to do. I want that to happen in the next 2 appointments. I want them to be like, I'm confident with my hairdresser. She's got my back. We are on the same team, and she's not going to do anything that I wouldn't trust her to do. And
Mm.
so the trauma is, you asked for the haircut and they cut this much and you thought they were going to cut that much. And really what it stems from is a lack of communication. That's really it is. It's if I say lack of hair communication, it doesn't really have a ring to it. Versus if you say hair trauma, it has a bit of a ring. More people can relate, and it happens to all kinds of people. It's not
Yes.
specifically one demographic of individuals or not, but it's something that I pay attention to, and it's something I encounter quite a bit. It's also something I'm very mindful of when I'm seeing people that are, under 18. I'm saying, you show me, how much do you want to cut? And they'll say, oh, this much. And I go, okay, well, we need to cut this much. And they'll go, oh. And I go, well, we weren't taking care of these things. So let's make an executive decision. How do we meet in the middle? I don't know many people that are asking 10-year-olds to make executive decisions, but I want to empower them, and I want to give them the dialogue and the verbiage to speak up for themselves, and for them to command the authority of like, yeah, I feel good about this. And so just creating that dialogue and that communication sets them up for success, because they could be 25 or 35 and they're like, when I was a kid, I had a hairdresser named Alicia, and she told me XYZ. And
Yeah.
so I think a lot of it is just changing the standard and changing the dialogue and creating a space for open communication. And some people don't want that. They like the trauma. They like to stay in this, like, no, it's not going to work. And that's fine. But there are so many people, when given the opportunity, who really are so excited to navigate their hair from such a positive, uplifting space.
Right. Well, it, you've educated me in this because I thought my hair is traumatized by turning this color, but
That's not true. Okay, that is like the hottest color on the market right now, actually.
but I'm just joking. But I love the fact of trying to explain some things because I think one of the things that I've experienced over the years is people not knowing how to communicate what's happening with my hair.
Mm-hmm.
Am I brushing it too much? Am I using the wrong type of comb or brush? Should I not be using a flat iron?
Mm-hmm.
Am I curling it with a hot iron and I shouldn't be? Whatever it
Mm-hmm.
might be. Am I using the wrong gel, mousse,
Mm-hmm.
cream, whatever those things may be? And for someone to say, look, your hair's thin and it's very brittle, it's not hydrated enough,
Mm-hmm.
whatever the language may be,
Mm-hmm.
and help me share in that care
Mm-hmm.
by giving me information and the executive decision making. That I love that.
Mm-hmm. It
It must,
helps.
yes.
Because I think the one thing that I haven't figured out how to solve it yet, but one thing that I am seeing all the time is that it's so easy to point out all the negative things about our hair. You know, I do the hair. It doesn't mean I don't have a bad hair day or I don't feel some kind of way about my hair from time to time. I do. I'm human. But what isn't happening is the cross communication amongst people, right? So just how, you mentioned, just for an example, like the hair is fine and it's this and it's that. It's like, well, that's language. We associate thin hair with bad, right? But thin might not be the word. Really, it's fine. It's a lower density. But there's some women with lower density are killing the game, right? They're like, I got it, right? And then there's women that have a very high density, and I just want to give them a hug because they're like, it takes me so long to do this. It's so heavy. It's so this. And it is always that, grass is always greener on the other side. But this communication and dialogue is not happening. And I think it should be happening at brunches. A lot of times people are going to interact with others and everything has to be perfect in life. Instead of, they're like, I need to cut this hair. It's so heavy. It's so this. So I think there just needs to be some different communication for sure.
Yes. So if people hear some noise in the background,
Mm-hmm.
Alicia has her staff, her team there, and was no, I'm not trying
Uh,
to get you to calm them down, but I was going to say, so what is the training what kinds of training do you do with your staff, your team?
well, the things that I like to do is I really like to source talent in a way that everyone has their own superpowers. I'm not looking for everyone to be the same. I don't think that makes anyone special when they are the same. I think that it's finding the spark in each individual and then providing with the necessary support that can allow them to just shine their light brighter. So, for example, I was doing education today with our assistant, and we had to just do some reprogramming for mindset. And the reprogramming that was happening for mindset is just making sure that the confidence is on par and making sure that you can give yourself that internal dialogue that allows you to keep pushing. It's so easy to tell ourselves, you don't know what you're doing, like you don't know enough, you're not going to, become this hairdresser. But I wouldn't have chosen her if I didn't think she was capable. And so I can tell her that until I'm blue in the face, but I need her to believe that she is capable.
Hmm.
And so I had a preview, we'll create like a mantra for her. And so her mantra for the last few months was, hey, please try to blow dry some hair. Because she'll help us. I might be like, hey, come help me straights or do some color or something. And so we're very, very busy right now. And so that was her thing before. And now I've shifted her to use what you know. Because I need her to remind herself that you know more than you're giving yourself credit for. And in order to continue to grow, you need to tap into the things that you know currently. And so that's what she needed. And so that's what I gave her. And that might not be the thing that another teammate might need or a new hire might need, but I like to observe and I like to see where I can help support them and elevate the things that they're already really gifted with. And if there's something that they just want to know, then I will work that out and develop that in that sense. And it's really not very traditional in salons. A lot of it is either there's no education at all, or techniques and things like that are very like hush hush, and you don't share it, and it's like learn your own stuff. And
Okay. Yeah, I
um,
was going to ask you about that.
we just don't function that way. You could see any member of our team at any given time, and we share, we support each other. I'm cheering everyone on as often as I can, because I'm inspired by everyone that's on this team. I'm grateful for every person that's on this team because, steel sharpens steel. I believe that they're the best, and if I'm around the best, I'm only going to get better. So I think that part is really important, and just trying to get them to realize that, and realize that you always have to be a student of your craft and that you're always learning. They can be whatever they want to be, and they can provide whatever service they want to provide. But at the end of the day, I'm here to support and fine tune and do all these little added things. And ultimately, they're leading me. I can show them my way, but they're paving their own way of how they want to move forward in their career. Um, and so
Yeah.
I'm grateful that they would like the support, but finding the special things is so key.
You know, that's not the norm, not even in corporate America and other places, right? And I think if it were, you might want to write a book about that. I think if it were, then a lot of businesses might be in the top 10 of their city, like The Way, or the corporations. This time just flew by. For those who don't live in New York, but maybe close by,
Mhm.
maybe, right across the tunnel, on the other
Yeah.
side of the tunnels or the bridges, or in a different borough.
Mhm.
Eh, Share a little bit more about where you're located, talk
Sure.
about your website and other things that people can find out more about you, because I loved, I'm just going to say this as an enticer, I loved going on the website and seeing your team,
Yeah, they're
and each
wonderful.
one of them highlighted for what their specialties are. So tell our viewers and listeners so that they can, out of curiosity, find out more.
Sure. Well, first, our website is nyc.net. And from there, you can get familiar with our team and seeing all of the wonderful services that they all provide. It is important to point out that you do not have to see me. You can see any of them. They are all phenomenal. And so you can book right through there. Our booking system is very easy. It's very straightforward. You can book all online. And also, if you ever find yourself coming across kind of like questions and curiosity, I always encourage everyone to book a consultation. It allows you to build a little bit of a rapport. You can see if you feel like a good fit. It also just allows you to get comfortable within our space to see, oh, I feel really good here. And that's the first step. You can also find us on social media. The salon's Instagram is theway.nyc. And then if you're looking to see my stuff and the wild color processes that I'm often sharing, my Instagram is the hair artiste, and that's just the hair artist with an E at the end. And you can find me there. But we are always happy to help. And, sometimes we know people are not able to come into New York. And if that isn't the case, I honestly just encourage you to take the time and do your research. If you don't see things on their website or on their social media that really, connect with you, then that might not be the hairdresser for you. And that's okay. I think there are some phenomenal hair salons in Boston offering all sorts of services, but I really encourage you to hop on social media, look up, Boston's best haircut, hair color, things like that. I do it all the time because I'm looking for amazing talent. But I encourage you to take the time and do it. If you see that they're capable, again, book the consultation with them and ask those questions. Get comfortable, set yourself up for success so that you can start, getting the hair results that you're really looking for.
Well, I want to thank you for
Thanks for
sharing
having me.
that. I want to tell you, I saw things on your website. I haven't been on there for a while, and the information that you provide for anyone on the website to
Thank
see
you.
about booking and costs and everything. I just thought you were so transparent. It made me feel good. Just I That were anything I could have thought of. And then you have nerve to have FAQs on top of that that I can see
Yep.
everything that I want to. I encourage people to go to thewaynyc.net and you're going to see hair, colors, styles, and anything you want to know, it's there. Alicia, thank you so much for being on the show this
Thanks
evening.
for having me.
That and not because she's my grandmother, my granddaughter, but because she is indeed a hair artiste and she is a winning woman at what she does. And so thank you so much for
Thank you for
sharing
having
with
me.
us. Always, always a pleasure, and thank you for being on the show. For those of you who have been with us this evening, I want to thank you as well for spending time with us. I know you're excited, and you're going to fly from France and Italy and wherever you may be right now to go get your hair done at the Way,
Fingers crossed.
New York City, down in Soho. So you're going to love that. Just that whole area is
It's so
worth
fun.
visiting. So thank you for spending time with us this evening. We hope that you'll join us again next week, same time, same place on the Winning Women Talk Show. Thank you, Alicia. Have a
Hi, thank you
great
for having
evening.
me.
Have a great evening, everyone. And don't forget the most important thing about being a winning woman or man is to love somebody. We're out of here. Good night.
Love you, Nana. Thank you.